Congratulations on the new FarScape box set. I wanted to know, first of all, why did it take so long to bring out, the deluxe box set? Why now?
Brian really should be here to answer that question, but the answer is that the company that issued the previous DVDs got into some financial problems, went under, and the rights were entailed with that company. So it took a number of years to unravel all that, and then it's also the 10th anniversary of when FarScape first came out. So,
what better time than the 10th anniversary of the series?
Well, when you started 10 years ago, and did the first season, did you have any idea where you wanted the series to end up?
I always had a vision of the final. Wasn't going to be the final scene of the series per se, but I definitely had in my mind kind of a final image of the character of John Crichton, because we started with John Crichton, obviously, and kind of where he ended up. But in terms of the series, there's some signposts that we were always trying to hit. For the most part, though, it was seat of our pants, and I think that served us really well.
And those pants were on fire.
Obviously, some of your fellow FarScape characters were puppets. What were the challenges of working with a puppet cast? Or part puppet cast?
Claudia, would you like to answer the question, which is, what are the challenges of working with a puppet cast?
Taking into consideration the puppeteer's needs, I mean, it was important to, it was fantastic to value what is often a forgotten performing art, but also just trying to coordinate things, because we were trying to perfect this tone that Brian was talking about in the panel earlier today. We needed to take it very seriously, and the stakes needed to be high, when we were telling the stories. But we also wanted this important, this essential comedic element, which I think now defines FarScape. So we needed to take the creatures seriously, but at the same time still be able to call it if, the creature had it, if there was something comedic about the way that it looked from a human's perspective. We wanted to be able to call that. So it was finding that balance of trying to make things look spontaneous when you were acting with the puppets, and yet everything needed to be engineered to a certain degree, and then the rest of it was based on faith and the puppeteer's ability to be spontaneous, and they were incredible at that.
So Rock, as a follow-up to that, something I've wondered, when you were writing for the puppets, were there special considerations or advantages in writing for puppets?
Yeah, and we discovered, again, in the matter of, for production, Rigel, who's the little guy, would work best if he's in one place. He was mobile. We created a throne sled for him so he could actually move along with other characters. But it was always best when he was isolated. So if you look at the series, you'll see we always, again, always a matter of story, but we always try to put him somewhere, get him stuck in an air vent, get him stuck somewhere else, so that he could be in that one place, and it made for a much more better performance, because there wasn't movement this way in addition to moving the puppet himself.
It was faster and cheaper too, from a set production perspective, because it was a whole ordeal getting him to travel great distances with his entourage of puppeteers on the floor underneath him.
And it also fit his character, because we just gave us opportunities to put him in what were the most embarrassing things we could possibly put him into.
So if fans could go back in time 10 years and watch you guys shooting, what would surprise them most about sort of like what went into the production, things that happened behind the scenes?
There was a strong visual that people would get when they would come to set, of people, especially Anthony Simcoe, because he was regular cast, it would happen on a daily basis or near daily basis, was he would have to strip out of a lot of his suit. So the creature shop had to find ways to engineer the costumes better and better every season, so that he could strip down very quickly to regulate his body temperature, because we didn't have purpose-built sound studios by season 2. So there wasn't proper AC, and those sort of conditions made it very difficult for people in those makeups and costumes. And so one of the most bizarre images, by the time this was really honed, by about season 3, Anthony had, just his face covered in the Dargo makeup, his own hair you could see sticking through the back, and a bit of the chest plate of Dargo, bare arms and board shorts, socks, and flip-flop shoes. And he would walk around 6'4" or 5", he was, with this tiny bit of alien face, and the rest was this sort of Aussie bloke in his underwear walking around on the set. And that was quite an arresting image. I think people would have been surprised to see that, because they're so used to seeing Dargo in all his glory. Can you think of
Except-
anything else?
Yeah, except it wasn't board shorts. He wandered around in his underwear.
I mean, that's sorry, boxer shorts. Boxer shorts.
Yeah, and exactly. You see Dargo with just Dargo's face and a pale Australian in underwear wandering around the set, blocking the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we would Dargo up and Dargo down. So literally at the end of a take with Anth, once they had what they needed, you'd hear Dargo down, and he would head off, and a group of handlers would come in and strip him down to his underwear. And then we would block a scene, and when we were ready to go, Dargo up, and they'd converge on him again, and Dargo would be built from scratch. It's a good one.
And I spent a lot of time asleep on the side of the set because I was so tired. So maybe they'd be surprised to sort of see. Yeah, we didn't have a big trailer culture in Australia. That's come in with the influx of American money in filmmaking there as a sort of movie satellite or LA satellite. But so we would spend a lot of time on the set. So people might have been surprised to see that too, that we'd be sitting at the monitor with the director, learning as much as we could about filmmaking, bonding with the people we were working with, and being really involved because we'd been afforded that opportunity. It was a very, towards the end especially, very collaborative experience because it was kind of like, I mean, I talk about it all the time, it's like a battle. We were all in it together and we were either going to get through the day together or not at all. So we spent a lot of time on the set with our gang rather than going back to our respective trailers.
Yeah, and even downtime, if you were going to crash and take a nap, you would grab one of the stunt pads and you'd be laid out on the side of the set. So the cast was always around. You weren't trying to chase us up. We were always on set.
Well, is there a possibility for another Peacekeeper Wars, I was going to say, but another FarScape miniseries?
Sure. We clearly hold out hope that there'll be other incarnations of FarScape. Currently, we're developing webisodes. That's something we're really excited about. And it's kind of a run-up to the story that we've developed for the webisodes. We now have a comic book series that's currently available that picks up right after the Peacekeeper Wars ended and is kind of following the saga of all the familiar FarScape characters, which will ultimately then dovetail with the webisodes. In terms of future miniseries and all that, Brian and I are always really excited at the notion of trying to get that happen. Feature film possibly. The great thing about the FarScape fan world is that it's really passionate, and they've really stuck with us. So yeah, I expect there to be other incarnations coming down the pike in the future.
Can you do it before Ben and I get too old? Please.
Okay.
That's my one big fear, is that it is all going to be like The Locket, and we'll be sort of like the stunt cast people that, generations from before, way back when, who watched the original series will sort of, that's Ben and Claudia. But now really Crichton and Aaron are played by two young, attractive people who...
Except for the old version of Crichton that came back through the wormhole.
Yeah.
With his family in tow.
I've read that you are a jazz singer,
Oy.
and I wanted to know if you had like a signature song, and where fans could hear you sing.
Oh gosh, I mean, my singing now is limited to the shower because I sing in front of my children and they say, no, no. I think it's because I used to, for some bizarre reason, it's sort of sinister and a bit mummy dearest for some reason. When they were getting their vaccinations, I would sing Que Sera Sera to them because I thought it was soothing. And so now when I start to sing to them, they have some
start to
terrible
cry.
Pavlovian response to my
They're by
singing.
Doris Day, thanks to you. Only your children.
She's got the blonde wig on again. No.
No. So, I mean, and I haven't sung really professionally, let's face it, ever. I mean, I used to sing in nightclubs in my late teens, and then Paul Goddard asked me to sing on his album. Paul played Stark, and he said, oh, I've written this song for you, and I really want you to do it this way. And I mean, I hadn't sung in years, and it was nerve-wracking. So, I mean, thanks for asking. What I would love to do if I was ever to bring my musical background back, not so much the singing, but I'd love to do a biopic. I'd love to play some sort of rock and roll chick who's, it's more about her life than the music. And that said, I am developing a comedy pilot where the character I would want to play in it is, she's sort of an Amy Winehouse type character. So, yeah.
That's funny because when you started answering the question, you said no. I thought you were
No. Yeah, so we'll see.
You'll be playing Amy Winehouse in the movie
Yeah, well, let's hope.
very shortly.
Oh, Ben. Touch wood.